Baby, baby, it's a baby. There's a baby on the front.
Okay.
You're listening to The Janchi Show, hosted by 3 Korean American adoptees diving headfirst into what it means to be adopted, Korean, American, and more. And now, here's your hosts, Nathan, Patrick, and KJ.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to The Janchi Show. We are here with another fantastic episode. It is I, KJ, along with co-hosts Nathan and Patrick. Fellas, how you doing?
Great. I'm doing great. I'm doing great.
Let's just break into song.
You never participate in the song portion, so I appreciate you doing it.
I feel like, or if you do, it's like a beat too late. We'll be like Patrick and I will do a song, and then Nathan will be like, and also I'm here. But Nathan, since you are here, what does Janchi Show mean? I mean, what does Janchi mean? Why do we call ourselves the Janchi Show? What are we doing?
Welcome,
here?
everyone. Janchi. We are Janchiing. We are celebrating and feasting. No, actually.
And banqueting.
Janching. That's
Banqueting.
the new
And
form of
banqueting.
currency. Official form of currency for the Janchi Show is Janching.
Cha-ching. And so we feast at the end of our show on a snack or drink, but we're also here to feast on our stories, our adoption stories and lives that we have lived, and our guests. That sounds weird that we're feasting on our guests.
Yeah, I was
we're
gonna say,
feasting with our guests.
You make us sound like
And
anime
celebrating.
villains or something. We're just sucking the souls out of people and their stories.
Slurp,
This
slurp,
is
y'all.
just to sustain ourselves.
I mean, after so many episodes, I was trying to make it sound a little bit different, but I guess I can't. So it just made it sound more morbid. So sorry about
I've
that.
heard the consistency is key.
Consistency is king.
Ooh.
The patriarchy.
Interesting. So would you prefer consistency as queen in this case?
Yes. Yes, queen. I would prefer that.
I just felt like we needed to back out from that moment.
You wanted to back out of that moment? I don't know
Yeah.
if we could have went any further, to be honest. I think it was over.
We could have doubled down. I could have tripled down, and instead I decided to play us out. By the way, I'm back in charge of the soundboard, and it feels real good. Okay,
Look
I've
out.
missed this power.
I'll get my dad jokes ready.
You are
Knock it out of
quick
the
with
park,
it.
Nathan.
I am not good at it. I'm glad that you have that power back.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Things I'm also looking forward to are Lunar New Year, specifically because I don't know why. I think I just like the New Year's this year snuck up on me, and it wasn't until like midway through the day, New Year's Day, that I was like, dude, you know what food we traditionally have, and by we I mean Koreans traditionally have on New Year's Day, is tteokguk. You know what I didn't plan to make at all? Tteokguk. You know what I love? Tteokguk.
Okay.
So
Damn.
I'm excited for
You
Lunar
effed
New
up.
Year's, because then I can hopefully rectify that mistake.
I mean,
but yeah.
I've made it a tradition where my kids actually expect it now. So I'm definitely going to be heading to the store, getting some rice cake slices, and I'll definitely be making it. So wish I could make it for everybody. Maybe
I
some
probably
people
won't
over.
make it.
I was gonna say I just need to figure out when that is, because I know it's February 10th.
The
So
10th, yeah.
Patrick, you will be with child, I believe. At that
I will
point.
have given birth to our child.
Unless
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Ah,
I
boo.
think that's how that works. But you will be with child, hopefully. All things. I don't know. It feels like, because everyone's due the first, right?
Yes.
So it's like, I don't know that you can go. Can you go 10 days? I don't know anything about childbirth. You know what? I'm just going to cut this part out. It's fine. But the point, the point is, this will be your first Lunar New Year's with child. How does that make you feel?
To
Is
be
that what
honest, hadn't even thought about it
right.
until you just asked me.
And you were like, oh,
I don't know. Like,
baby's first Asian moment.
Oh,
Baby's
and they'll be
first
before
Asian moment.
the Lunar New Year too, so they'll actually be last year's. They won't be a dragon. So
What is it
unless
this
they
year?
So,
Wood dragon.
wood
no,
dragon.
so if you're born after the 10th, you'd be a dragon.
So you're still within the previous lunar calendar.
Correct.
What was last year's? Or this year's?
A rabbit, I think. Yes, rabbit.
That's
I don't
fine.
see what type
Roelke.
of element. Hey, nice. That is accurate.
Ooh, good job.
I'm out here. No, haven't really thought about it, to be honest. Don't have any plans to celebrate. I will celebrate vicariously through you both and everyone else on Instagram. And yeah, honestly, hadn't even thought about it. Been thinking about 100 other things besides Lunar New Year. Water rabbit. Maybe think of water chestnut, which I do enjoy in my stir
Do you
fry.
really?
Yeah,
I do
Gross.
too. I love
We've talked about this. I do not like
I think
that.
we have talked about it.
Yes.
No, honestly, I don't know. Like, am I supposed to do anything special for my kid? Like,
Dress them up
as
in
they're
red.
born?
I don't know.
But I think they're too small. I don't think we
Give them
have
a-
like
Sir, an
infants.
envelope with some money.
Sir, that's the draw of newborn children is they're so small.
Well, I know, but I don't have any like infant, newborn,
Just hold
Lunar
them
New Year wear.
Hold up like a piece of red paper. I don't know. They're
Yeah,
probably
give them
about
some
the
Just
size
in
of
front of their.
They're like
in
a
front of
11
their
by
body.
19, right? Yeah, just be like, look, I made them an outfit.
I'm
It's a
gonna
red
assume that
humble.
I will be begging for sleep, as well as Emily will
That's
also
why
be
it'll be
begging for it.
perfect because you'll be like, I'm totally sane. This tracks.
Right.
It's red. It's fine. We're all fine here.
Yeah.
How are you?
You know
will
what?
Be deep in diapers.
You know
Oh,
what
let
I
me
will
tell ya.
do? I will read a couple of these kids' books that we've gotten from people so far, which I greatly appreciate to everyone who has sent us a book. That was the thing that I contributed most to our registry. So I think I'll do that as celebration.
Have you
Nice.
thumbed through them at all?
Not really. I mean, just as we get them, like I kind of take a look and then put them on the shelf, and we've gotten literally a full shelf's worth. So I'm blanking. The one that I can remember is actually in front of me. I'm forgetting the title. Eyes That Speak to the Stars. Joanna Ho's follow up to
Eyes that kiss in the corner.
Kiss in the Corner.
Yeah.
Yes, I forgot the
I have
title of
that
that
one
one too. I'm just struggling out
Sorry.
here.
Something about eyes and doing
Well, I
stuff.
was
It's
thinking
great. They're great
about
books.
I was thinking about friend and former guest of the show, Liz Kleinrock, who has a book coming out at the end of this month with
yes.
Joanna called Eyes That Weave the World's Wonders,
Yes.
which is essentially basically an autobiographical children's book of her childhood, which is absolutely beautiful. So I'm ready. We don't have our copies of that yet. We're waiting for those copies to come in the mail.
I cannot wait to get my
Nice.
copy.
It's fantastic.
Do you have any?
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say, do you have any of the Tiger Boom?
Yes,
books?
Alicia Maddie, previous voicemail leaver of the show, generously gifted two that I did not expect, and so that was really great. So
Great. I was gonna say I was gonna send you some, but now that's good. I gotta ask. Make sure
she
you-
sent two board books. I think there are more than just the two, but that we got, but I'm not 100% sure. So we got books, is what I'm saying.
Cool.
Yeah. What's the breakdown of humans to animals, do you think, in your book collection?
Right now, I think that it's like 9-1 humans to animals. Not as many animal
Ooh.
books, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I'm not mad about it.
Although you did put books on your registry, so I'm sure that helps like skew things, right?
Yeah. We got a couple Jimmy Fallon books, which some people are excited about.
Baby.
I
Are
saw
they?
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Dada, Mama.
I haven't ever read them, but they
Yeah.
get good reviews. But I don't
they're
know,
funny.
so we'll see. Yeah, they're funny.
All right. Yeah, I've just so my wife went to a baby shower recently, and I was tasked with picking up a book, and so I got one from Target, and it was like my first time thumbing through children's books in a long time because all of my nibblings are kind of past, I think, most of those stages for the most part. So I was just like, oh yeah, I don't even know. I saw a lot of the Jimmy Fallon ones, and Target had like a whole like, here's some books for inclusivity, all that kind of stuff. And which, side note, in Texas, it's a weird time to be like, if I buy this book for you, are you gonna read it or are you gonna burn it? But
It's kind of like that here in Indiana. So.
I was getting a book for one of Sarah's friends / old coworkers. So it's not like we've had a ton of interaction. So I'm just I'm like, well, I know. Yeah. Anyways, it just made me think about like, there were some classics like Where the Wild Things Are or whatever. But I was just like, what is the state of books these days? And I got one called Maybe, and I thought it was lovely, and the artwork is incredible. But it was just talking about like, maybe you'll grow up to be this, that, or the other, and like all these kinds of things. And it just made me think about like what the state of books are for children. Patrick, since you are about to have child and be reading, and Nathan, since you have many children and have read and probably are continuing to read
way too many books.
Yeah. Just like, what's the?
Maybe I should send you some of my used books.
I mean, I'll take them. That's what I want. I want as many books as possible. Probably to answer, like, in furtherance of your question, like the state of children's books. Like, I've been listening to Joanna and her co-host Carolyn Pritchard. They have a show called Kids Lit Happy Hour, where they talk to kids lit authors, and a lot of them are they're just fantastic.
Kids lit, like
kids
children's literature.
Yes.
I heard like kids lit, like I was like like outlet. I was like, is that like where they have kids on the show and they just talk about books? Like, yeah, okay.
No, it's the authors of those books, and it's really fantastic. And I've liked diving into it to just learn more about that particular industry, because as we were starting to collect books, and actually, honestly, as I started to go on this journey, is when I really found out more about like what the world of kids lit is like now. Because all I could think of when I was thinking back was like Curious George and Dr. Seuss. Like, those were the kids' books that I read. And then my mind immediately goes to like the chapter books that we read, which were Boxcar Children. And thinking about how that just lays the subtle like orphan tropes within my, subconscious a little bit in those books. But I feel like one of the things that really stands out to me is not just the story being told in words, but the art. Like, I feel like the art is just fantastic in a way that is just, it's different. I don't want to say it's like miles better than what it used to be, but it's just like, it feels so engrossing to me, some of these books that I see, and especially like Joanna's collaborator, his name's Dung Ho, and he has, I think, illustrated all of her or most of her books so far. And the things that he produces are just fantastic. It is just absolutely beautiful. And especially thinking about like Asian representation in a kid's book, just to see that reflected on this page like this, it like brings me to tears, a little bit when I'm looking at them. And I feel like we are seeing, Nathan, you probably have more, you can speak to this more, but I feel like we are in a much better place now than we ever were, like when maybe we were growing up, with what's out there for kids books. And it's not from an Asian 100%. Community perspective, but just all communities. And that's really what I want to like load the shelf up with, is with just as many different stories, different perspectives as possible. So my kid can see those, because I was not seeing those. I was seeing the very stereotypical representations of what was in kids' books. But I don't know. I'm sure you can speak a little bit to what's out there and what you really enjoy too.
Yeah, I've been fascinated with the variety of different types of books, like you said, from the ones that I grew up with. I mean, I had the same, Dr. Seuss and kids books, and yeah, sure, there's other books out now that follow like the TV shows and things like that the kids like. Tons of Disney, we have a lot of those. But I've been finding a lot of really good books at Target. Target actually has specific, when they have special months and stuff, they do like Black History Month. They do, like showcases for, authors and stuff that fall into those categories. And I think that's wonderful, because then it gives you the opportunity to go, oh, look, here's a section of all of the books that I'm interested in looking at and seeing which ones to do. And also what you said, the artwork, I almost... Sometimes I think the artwork is too good, because, I mean, it's great for us, but I think my kids don't really look at it or appreciate it or see it. And then I'm like, oh, are they just passing through the, these like beautiful pictures and just, do they need something more simple? But sometimes I think they really do get entranced with it. I found like, the kids' books, I love the ones that rhyme. It's probably why Dr. Seuss was so popular back in the day, but I like these one series, or there's a ton of them, but Sandra Boynton, I think is her name, but She just has some really funny kids books that have like animals in them, like pigs and cows and ducks and things like that. And I don't know, they rhyme, and my kids still to this day. So I mean, I've had these books now for 6-7 years, and I just read them to my first child, and then my second, and then a third, and so it's gotten a lot of use, and I almost know these books now by heart. So I'm curious to see if they will remember those types of books, down the road. But
well, I think it's nice that they have something to like come back to as well. Like I'm like discovering these books for the first time, these authors, these artists, and these particular things that are available for literally children. And I'm discovering them as an adult. And to think that they can grow up with these and then come back to them, I even think about if I were to have some of Joanna's books when I was in middle school or like grade school. I just did an episode where I was talking about one of my experiences, my first experience with racism in grade school, and thinking about how I could, if I had that book, if I could go back to that book and look at it, feel seen and feel a little bit more validated, because the racist joke was literally about my eyes. So like that's what these books deal in. And it's just like how impactful they can be in like the ongoing impact of this type of literature, this type of I don't know, I was going to say media, which I guess it is media, but this type of I guess representation within books is really nice, and I'm excited for my kid to have something like that.
Yeah, and it normalizes a lot of the fun stuff that I didn't know as a child myself, like Bibimbap. There's a book about that, and that's really good. And kimchi, no kimchi for me. The fact that there are some Korean elements that I can pass, even though we have Chinese books and Japanese books too for my wife's side. And so actually my daughter is picked out. She specifically would go to the library because we have, like I said, way too many books that we've bought. So now we're going to the library and just renting them so that we can return them. But my daughter picked out a book about Chinese New Year.
Nice.
It was her own doing, and she just said, "I want to read this book," and it's kind of like some of the Tiger Boom books where it's in 2 languages, where it gives the English version and it has the Chinese pronunciation for it. So I thought that was really cool. Of course, I'm not pronouncing any of the words correctly, I think, but I'm trying, and maybe that's enough for them at this age. I don't know. So
I like that the pronunciation is there, because if they point at it like, what's this say? I'd be like, give me a second.
Like Google, what does
Google,
Google? Yeah. Google, you're not going to know.
Google is now teaching my daughter how to Chinese, but no, it's I love the variety out there. So and my kids are avid readers. So.
Well, I went full Jerry Wan when I was picking a book. After editing a number of Dear Asian American episodes, I just remember being like, oh yeah, there's like percentage-wise, there's a lot more books about animals than there are about people of color. So maybe we can like do that. But I was like, okay, again, Texas as a white couple, I don't know. But I went with a book that I thought the artwork was gorgeous, and I didn't know the author, but I was like, oh, Yamada, that's an Asian name. So I was like, I don't know if they're like Asian or Asian American or what, but the book is Maybe by Kobe Yamada. Apparently he's an award-winning author. He wrote What Do You Do With an Idea? And I was like, oh, wait, I know that name. So I'm just an idiot and ignorant. But the book is really cool, and the art style is cool because the main character is like gender fluid, or like gender non-specific, I guess. And so like when I read it, I could see a little boy. And when Sarah's friend, who she carpooled with, read it, she was like, oh, I see, it looks like a little girl to me. And like, I thought that was really lovely. And it's just really interesting to read that. And then I did a quick Google while y'all were talking, and he is an Asian American author. I was like, oh, great, cool.
Nice.
But yeah, it was just like, it was interesting because, and maybe we missed a trick by not having Sarah Parkdahl on the show for this one, but like, cause it's kind of like her specialty, but we like it just to your, like kind of what you guys were talking about. I was like, yeah, how much of this like sticks, how much of that, these books that we get read, like continue to shape who we are. Like, I know that there's a lot of talk in the adoptee space, obviously because of books like The Primal Wound and things like that. And it's just like, yeah, our body holds on to trauma, even if our minds may not necessarily remember that and all that kind of stuff. But like, how much can books really help shape who we become. And, like, and Patrick, to your point, like what we go back to, like if we were to go back to that, like, does that help or any of those kinds of things? I don't know. It was just really interesting. And it's a lovely book. But I was just kind of like, oh man, the state of children's literature and like how formative that can be, maybe even in like, how much does it inform like the zeitgeist when the kids grow up to be, 30, 40, 50, and like kind of culture influencing, so younger than that. And, but in that range, it just was an interesting kind of conversation.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons, and I know not everybody is this type of reader, but one of the reasons I like a physical book. And I realize that kids' books are not definitely going to feel the same reading it on like a Kindle or just like a digital version. And that's why they're all physical copies. But
like oh, no,
even
the screen
now,
time is all books. It's fine.
Yeah. But I guess when I was growing up, we obviously didn't have like digital media, like digital books to read. But I think that's what I've always wanted, like a physical book, because I like the tactile feel.
Mhm.
And Emily gets on me sometimes because like I take up the shelf space because I just keep buying books. And the reason is, and I don't like get rid of some. And I appreciate people who are able to like let go of these things, like get through them and then they, trade them out, get different things, go to the library even.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just like, I do so much like marking up and writing in the margins. Yeah. And I just love to be able to, that I know I can go back to that. And I don't know if that was born out of like just having those physical books when I was a kid, but I don't know. It's just like, I like it feels like a tether almost. And it feels like something I can, especially when I started reading books about adoption and the adoptee experience. It's like I've tried to get away from calling them Bibles, but I feel like that's the best way for me to describe it. It's like, these are my Bibles. It's like, upon this rock, this is where I build my church.
Whoa, getting religious, baby. Take me to church.
Like, those are the foundations for me. And I love to be able to just grab them and be like, I have notes in my notes app, like, and about all of these books, but I love to be able to just go and look. And I don't know, something about that just feels like it just ties me to the actual work and the community beyond that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, my kids like both. Like I said, we have tons of regular books. The Kindle, however, is working really well for traveling, and they have like the kids version. And he's been reading all these books that are like comic style. So
like Captain Underpants?
Like Captain Underpants, yeah, Big Nate, those types of things. And the kids actually started calling me Big Nate recently, which was funny.
Who is Big Nate? I've never heard of him.
Yeah, it's like a comic character. He almost looks like the Calvin and Hobbes series in a way.
Oh, okay.
But he gets in trouble and things like that. So I've had to. They've actually read a few things. They've read a few things actually in that were I don't know. He's just he said a few words that they've repeated, and I'm like, okay, we're not going to say that. So now I'm kind of worried about these books, but. Oh yeah, going back to that Big Nate, it was kind of funny. I actually was called Big Nate in high school. One of my English teachers used it as an example of an oxymoron. Because I was kind of small.
Yeah,
I know.
Super unfortunate.
It is. I think back to that moment, and I thought, it was a nickname. It was no big deal, but yeah, it was. Not a nickname I would still use today.
So. Yeah, no. I feel like we could dive into that real quick. I don't know. That might go in a different direction than the kids' books.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wild. Yeah, I don't know. I just, I guess, especially like along with like Baby's First Lunar New Year, like, and the kid book thing, like, what have the conversations been like with you and Emily around like how Asian or how early do you have some of those conversations? Like, I think for me, going back to what we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where I was not coding as Korean for these other Korean American girls, I was like, what does that look like to be to grow up in a household of color? Like,
sure.
How do you handle that? Like, how do you prepare a child for like their racism radar so that it's like ready to go? Because like for me, I'm like, it wasn't until Patrick I heard you in this episode be like, oh yeah, my first racist experience was when I was young. It was about my eyes. And I was like, oh yeah, wait, I think I had one of those. But like otherwise, like it's just like I don't really like my radar is very broken and I'm still working on repairing it, you know? So like, but like, yeah, just like how Asian how do you make a child Asian, for lack of a better term?
Yeah, I think that one of the things I'm really excited about with having these kinds of diverse books is that it helps to like foster that conversation without me having to be so direct about it.
Yeah.
And it like allows, it's like an accessible entry point. And then they have the reflection. And then it's like, you're hopefully maybe you're not asking those questions within their minds. But I guess the biggest thing is just, so I guess from a conversation standpoint, what we've talked about is just being open and willing to explore Korean culture, Asian American culture together. And in the same way, I think we've talked about this on an episode before, but Emily and I had a conversation once where we were talking about, she's like, well, what's my culture? You know, it's just like, is it just like whiteness or like whiteness isn't necessarily culture? America is a culture, being American is a culture, but it's like, it feels like America in particular, I feel like it strips away like where you really came from, like your true heritage and roots. And we've talked about like, it would be fun, I think, together as a family to explore those roots as well, like those Germanic roots that she comes from too, to get that history. And then to just, because they're going to be mixed race and they're going to have that anyways. And it doesn't, to me, as much as I want them to be proud of being Asian and you know, live into their identity, is that I want to also acknowledge all parts of them. And so that's going to be part. And so it's kind of goes back to what I was struggling with from an identity standpoint for so long. It's like me not being able to connect with Korean culture. I think this is probably going to be my in. And it's going to be a way that we can explore and celebrate together in a way that I feel like I just am, again, still struggling with a little bit. We just talked at the top about Lunar New Year, and I'm like, I ain't doing shit. I'm not doing nothing.
You're like, what's the rice soup that we have?
Right.
Kimbap?
But I want to be able to share those moments with my child. And I think that's one of the ways we have those conversations. And it would be naive of me to think that we're not going to have conversations about the bad stuff that happens, that comes with being a person of color, a person of global majority, a minority within white spaces. But we're also trying to, again, we've talked about this over and over again on the show, leading into these moments, that we want to cultivate a more diverse community than either of us grew up with. And at the end of the day, too, that doesn't mean we can't explore still like those Germanic roots that her family comes from, that is part of her like actual true heritage, cultural history, as well as exploring Korean culture, Korean community, Korean heritage, and then the broadly Asian American stuff, you know? So I think that's what we've talked about a little bit, is being able to do this together, because even for both of us, it's kind of new. It's kind of, it's a learning process for each of us to be able to start exploring those things in ways that we haven't before. And for whatever barriers there are, maybe this child is going to be the person that breaks the barriers down for us. So I think that's what that looks like. What about you, Nathan? How did you and Allison approach that?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we've tried to teach them about both, you know, all three of their ethnicities and you know, culture. But I mean, I guess I had another question after this. I guess I'll answer your question first.
I didn't mean to just spring a question on you.
Yeah, no.
I was just interested in hearing how you all approached it, because you've done it 3 times now, so or been in the process of doing it 3 times.
Just continuing it the one time.
We talk about it, and it's actually funny because there are some families in the neighborhood that also are Korean. Also, there's also an adoptee in the neighborhood, and so her kids are also, you know, half Caucasian, half Korean, and so then there's some others. Actually, a lot of them are. Now that I think about it, but. We just met another one recently who was actually half Korean and half Hispanic, and so you know we're finding more of these mixes in the neighborhood, and it's good because we tell them, hey guys, you know we're not their kids. We tell our kids, it's like, yeah, you're half Korean like your friend over here, you know, and we try to just like let them know that there's like similarities and that they are, not alone, and that there are people that have multiple, mixes out there that, they can relate to. And, but I was going to ask you as an adoptee and as your adopted side, are you planning on teaching anything about your parents' side?
Well, that's a good question. I actually had not thought about that. I think it kind of goes into exploring Emily's cultural background. I've been interested a little bit in having those conversations with my parents. And I think that because, I don't know, I think that might end up being a podcast conversation. I'll just be like, come on the podcast, we're going to talk about that because I want to capture for content. But yeah, I don't know. We never really talked about it when I was growing up, and I can't ever recall really having conversations about that with them or even with my grandparents. And I think that's something, if I were to have regrets, that would be one of them with my grandparents specifically. I wish I would have asked more questions about their specific like roots and cultural heritage. I know there's a little bit of Irish, a little bit of German in there.
Just take a DNA test and find out.
Them take a DNA test?
No, you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, obviously.
I didn't know that you were 99% Korean too. So I don't know. Like, I think maybe that's something we can explore together too in that way. Mm-hmm. So
yeah. It's a tough question. I think it's something that I've taught my kids mainly more that this is who my parents, they go by Nana and Papa. So I was like, this is where your Nana and Papa come from, and this is their background and stuff like that. So I kind of teach it more along the lines of, because they've asked, they're like, why,
sure,
why do they not look like us and stuff like that. So, so I, of course we've explained that I'm adopted and that, and all that stuff. So but they still want to know where they came from because they love, my parents. And so we were just teaching them a little bit just about, history, just, culture, genetics, and where people come from. But then we, when we talk about genetics specifically, we say, no, you guys are half Korean, half quarter Japanese, quarter Chinese. So, and then, if we go deep into it, my wife is like 4th generation Japanese and 3rd generation Chinese. So, they're still very Americanized as well. They don't have a whole lot of, traditions that they kept or celebrated in their family. So we try to, just explain that everyone does different things. Everyone's been here for different amounts of time, and everyone has traditions that not necessarily may be their background. They may have inherited these traditions. And it comes down to whatever your family wants to do is right for you. So.
Yeah, I think it's just it's interesting, like talking about this, because essentially we're talking about belonging, who gets to belong, what it looks like to belong, and how to normalize having those conversations. And I think that, Patrick, to your point, and I think we have said this on the show, but it's good to reiterate. Like sometimes, like these books give us a natural way in when maybe our communities aren't as diverse as we would like them to be,
sure.
And yet we want to pass on a mentality and a grace to who gets to belong and who is a person and who, is worthy of, I don't know, love and affection, all that kind of stuff, and having a nice and easy way. Because I think part of it is like, we have the benefit of sitting here at 30 plus years old and talk about these kinds of things. But when you're a child, you're not thinking on like a political level. You're not thinking on like any of those kinds of things and all of these nuances that we bring with us. So it's like, well, how do I do this so that hopefully like you're aware, hopefully you're able to just like accept and love and all those kinds of things, while also you're like learning how to use a fork and spoon for the first time,
right?
Or like learning how to use chopsticks. And you're like, oh yeah, actually I do think about, the political ramifications of how I will vote when I turn 18 or, whatever. So yeah, it is a never ending, fascinating conversation. And I think it's interesting just because like the mind of a child is literally so young and has so like infinite potential,
Right.
And so it's just like, yeah, I don't know. Like it's kind of like if we could go back in time, what would we teach ourselves, you know?
Yeah.
So, and whether that's, you know, like you have your own kids or you have nibblings or you have friends who have kids and whatever, you know, all of that kind of stuff. I think that we all come in contact generally with children. And like, if we choose to engage with that, then it's like how much, whether it's reading them a book or you're being present at like a birthday party or, you know, whatever, it's just like how, for however much interaction you have with child, how much of that can you be intentional about? Like, what do you leave them with? Do you just like, oh yeah, I'm just like a fun adult. I don't know, whatever. Like, oh no, like also let's talk about loving people or, you know, I don't know, all that stuff. It's just endlessly interesting to me.
I think it's interesting in the sense that you think about becoming a parent and that's like exciting and it's just like there's just general excitement about it. But when you, as I've gotten like now we're in that literal end game, it's like, okay, there are 3 weeks
Business
left
time.
as the time of recording. And thinking about, and this I've been thinking about a lot, it's like, you know, you talk about what are you going to leave for them? How are you going to do X, Y, Z? And it comes down to like modeling and for me, and it's just like, the responsibility that it is of like really, it's like really hitting me of like what this is going to be and like how am I going to be this model for my child. And like I cannot, again, a few weeks ago I was kept shouting out therapy because it's gotten me to this point that I feel like I feel very ready to do that, but I also feel the weight of the responsibility and thinking about how, I used to think about being a parent as just being like, oh yeah, I would love to do that. That would be cool. And really not giving it much more thought than that. And thinking about that version of me, not probably a very good parent, to be honest. And like, he probably would have figured it out. But I think this version of me is ready to actually do so and knows the weight of what you're supposed to be actively, what you should be actively modeling, how you want to be a parent, how you want to leave or build the foundation for them to then grow into their own person and not try to like impress upon them like who they're supposed to be or who they should be, but just modeling who you are as a person. And hopefully they pick up the good parts of that and incorporate that and then grow beyond and become, you know, the best version of whatever it is that I was trying to be. And hopefully also don't have the 30 years of baggage that I'm currently trying to unpack right now.
Well,
so
just, you know, they'll have different baggage.
That's true. That's true.
They'll have a combination of both your pros and cons as well as Emily's pros and cons, and that's the thing that makes watching your kids grow up is so interesting to me. Is my kids do different things, and they're all different too. That's another thing, is all kids are different, so their personalities will pick up on different things that each of us does. Like I said, my kids, I'm not a huge, I don't curse a lot in my house. You know, I have in the past, but I really don't. Allison, a little more here and there, but not that much. None of my two out of the 3 kids, only one of the kids has actually said a bad word, and it's more recently. And so it's just kind of funny.
You gotta stop reading Big Nate.
How did that one kid pick? No, it wasn't him. It was the middle.
LOL. If it was there's a curse word in Big Nate though.
Yeah. And so it's just interesting what they pick up on, and I guess, you know, going back to what you said, KJ, too, and, you know, having just an open heart and being kind and this and that, I think one of the things that I've always tried to do is just be there for the kids and answering questions if they have any questions about where I came from or about who I am or about what they would do in certain situations, and just being able to communicate and talk to them. And that's the, you know, I think for me, the biggest part. I had, you know, my kids over the last 7 years now, and there's 3 years of that was during a pandemic. And so as much as, you know, that was such a horrible thing, I had a lot of time with my kids during that time at home with them. And so they picked up on a lot of things, and who knows how that's going to be, if that's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, because I definitely have changed a lot of the parenting process from my oldest to my youngest. Also, one being, you know, a boy and one being a girl too there. So I've also kind of changed some things, and I'm sure you will fine tune your parenting skills as well as you go along.
Nope.
But
Nope. Staying exactly the
However I
same.
am,
Exactly.
yep, this is the peak of my parenthood.
Yeah.
My pre-parenthood is the peak of my parenthood.
Yeah, we took a parenting class. It was
And
3
that's all you need to
1-hour
know.
classes, and now we're 100%
you're
parents.
Certified.
Certified parents.
Professional parent. This is going to be a breeze. Get ready for that meconium.
Classic. Well, I mean, by the time this episode is out, I might very well be a parent. So
It's true.
it's very
Might
interesting. I'm really excited about it, and I'm excited to see what my life looks like in 3 months after that, even 1 month after. Good God, 3 days after.
3 days after, you'll be like, "Are we doing anything for Lunar New Year? What? I'm a parent." Anyways,
Did you have a Red Bull? Do you want some more Red Bull? Because I got a Red Bull. Here's a Red Bull.
you're like, "Emily, do we have any red construction paper? I need to make a humbook for my kid."
And then
duct
it's just me holding
is-
a piece of red paper in front of them. Happy
Yeah.
Lunar New Year.
Happy, hooray! We did it. Say hey, bug money, Lunar New
We
Year.
are alive.
We. All right. Well, on that note, before we freak out too much, let's take a break and come back with a snack or drink item that you eat or drink.
Eat, drink, drink.
In your mouth.
Gross.
Welcome back to the Janchi Show. It is time for a snack. We are diving into. Well, I did not say anything funny that
No,
time.
I had like queued up the ballpark. I thought you were gonna ramp up like it's time for a snack.
Oh,
But then like you just
see.
went down, and I was like, well,
I went straight into
all
it
right.
this time. Oh, so anticlimactic. I'm sorry. It's a thing. I was trying to be straightforward for this one. I have no clue who makes this. But it is a
Korea.
made in Korea, NH Trading Company. So whatever that is, but it says it's a Korean rice chip and it's an onion flavor rice chip.
It's onion time.
It's onion. So it looks like a wheat thin, and then there's a big old giant onion on the front. So I'm gonna say it tastes like a rice cracker wheat thin. Yes.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's a lot of hangul on the front, so I don't know.
There is a lot of Korean on the front. Yeah.
I have no clue.
Oh, the only thing that I know is yangpa mat, which is onion flavor, but specifically pa is like the Korean word for green onion. So in Korean, it would just be onion, and then Western onion is how they do it. So
right.
this is the Western onion. Yangpa.
Well, I've got some Western onion crumbs on the outside of my seal.
That's okay.
Is
You
it?
opened it.
Yeah, that's not great.
Because you cracked
It's
open
not
the
all
top
the way
part of it.
open,
No,
but it's outside of the sealed seal.
No, but the Ziploc is for resealing. The other part is for the sealing that you just opened already.
Well, the crumbs just fell into it when I opened the Ziploc, so now I have to eat them anyways.
It's fine. It's probably just rat poop.
You're probably just rat poop.
Doesn't smell too strong of onion when you take a whiff.
It's not like what I thought it would be.
I didn't know what I thought this would be. Honestly, actually, this might be exactly what I thought it was going to be.
This is very crunchy.
In my head, I was thinking like sour cream and onion. It
I
is
was
not
thinking
that.
wheat thin.
There are no
But it's not
sour
even-
cream.
Yeah,
Just
no
onion.
sour
Not even-
cream, just onion.
I don't hate it. But that's what I said when we opened the watermelon drink 3 weeks ago.
So I should have looked at the ingredient. The number 2 ingredient is sugar. And that's definitely apparent because it's almost like a sugar coating.
Yeah, I can, yeah. I feel like I can taste the sugar.
Yeah.
51 carbs. Actually, wait, that tracks. That's all right.
Yeah.
1 serving per container, though.
Hey,
That's
4.3 grams of protein. I'll just read the first 5 ingredients just because it's interesting.
Premium content.
Rice, sugar, onion, fermented soy sauce.
1.
But then it goes 1, fermented soy sauce 2. That's confusing to me. Why is there a fermented soy sauce 1 and a fermented soy sauce 2? Are they
Maybe
like,
it's just like two different kinds of
vintages
soy-
or something?
Yeah, 2 types of soy sauce. That's like there's like soy sauce like we think of like classic Japanese brand Kikkoman soy sauce.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a Japanese brand. LOL,
I
if
know
that
they
was
have-
like not a Japanese brand. But then there's also like a soy sauce for soup that's different. That's used in the aforementioned tteokguk, and that's a different version of soy sauce. So maybe they're using both types of soy sauce.
I mean, they could have just said like light or dark or medium or something like that. But I don't know.
Medium.
What's a medium soy sauce?
Color soy sauce. There's different colors soy sauces. Like they're like different. There really is dark soy sauce, light soy sauce, and then like a regular medium soy sauce.
All right.
So there's like
More
a
you know.
see-through soy sauce, like not see-through soy sauce, and then one you can kind of see through.
There's like a light beer, an amber, and a Guinness.
Yes, kind of.
There's like a mild, a medium, and a hot.
There could be even more than that, but
Doubt it.
these are just the ones I see
Small,
at the store.
medium, large.
I have so much sauce
And
in
baby
my
size.
refrigerator right now.
What kind of
My
sauce you
wife
got in there? List off 3.
Well, obviously the oyster sauce, the chili paste, gochujang. I got tons. Trust me. The whole half of my refrigerator is sauces. I actually got a second refrigerator for
Just
drinks,
for your
but-
sauces?
For drinks.
Oh, for
But then
drinks.
but then it took over. The sauces took over, and now it's half sauces, half drinks. So
That's real unfortunate.
Is this what I have to look forward to when I become a dad?
no,
Sauce fridge?
the deep freezer with breast milk. That's what you have to look forward
Dude,
to. No.
what I want to know is, at what point do you transition into your parents where they just have like super old expired condiments in their fridge for like way too long?
Oh yeah.
Like, when does that transition happen?
I don't
Hopefully
know. I'll let
never.
you know. I hope so. I clean out my fridge. Well, my fridge has some old stuff in there. I clean it out as frequent as possible. And it's like, oh, this is old, like by a month. And I throw it out.
Oh, and then you put it in a box and you send it to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You're like, oh, I forgot about this snack.
Sometimes. It's aged like a fine wine.
All right. So I've had enough of these to make a decision. Similar to the watermelon, it started actually not similar in whatever. It started okay and got worse. So for me, it probably started at like a 3.5. I'm gonna give it like a 2.5.
Oh, straight down
don't-
the middle.
I don't love the mouthfeel, what it's done to my breath. The like the sugar glaze on it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a big fan of it. I wish it was sour cream and onion. I don't know. That just the onion, this young pa mat, not napayo. That's bad
Napayo.
flavor. Bad Western onion flavor. So 2.5 for me.
All right. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it started at a 3 and it stayed at a 3. It didn't
Wow.
get worse for me,
That's
but it
really
did not
generous
get
for
better.
you.
Generous
Yeah.
for me.
That's I think that's valid. I was actually going to say 3 as well because it's a little better than average. The sugar glaze surprised me because I did not expect that at all because I didn't read the ingredients before eating it, I guess. I like I said, I was sold that it was going to be a wheat thin style cracker, but I'm happy that it's not too oniony
But it's a rice chip. Why did you think it was a wheat thin if it's a rice chip?
because
This
wheat thins
was
make
what
rice
it
chips
looked
too.
like.
There are
No.
rice wheat thins, just so you know.
That feels
But-
like lying.
I know. No, they're called rice thins. That I made up. I don't actually
I
know.
knew
if they're
you were going to say
actually
that.
called- No, really. They do. I swear they do have one, but
Okay, well, while
I
Nathan's
looked it
doing
up.
a
It's
quick
called
Google.
Good Thins. Okay.
Good thins.
It's called Good Thins, and it's a rice cracker. But
Now that sounds made up.
well, but yeah, the onion flavor over time just isn't doing it for me either. So that's why I didn't give it any more than a 3. So
I just feel like it gets kind of like cardboardy, but in my mouth.
It's almost like a cereal. And then when
Yeah.
I think about
Yeah.
a cereal with milk and an onion, it just makes me gag a little. So yeah.
We established earlier this year that I'm not a milk person. So
Yes. So, well, there you go.
2024, the
Sorry,
year of the
NH.
mid snack so far.
Yeah,
so far.
not great. The year of the declining snack.
The year of the declining snack.
First impression, okay. Later impressions, waning.
Well, I'll say it again. I'm running out of snacks.
You've been saying that since year 1 of the show.
Yeah, I think you started saying that like after week 6. You're like, I don't know if there's anything else to buy.
More Korean snacks.
Actually, that's not true. Probably it was like week 1 was like, yeah, okay. Week 6 was like, oh yeah, I'm excited for like so many of these snacks. And then like 2 months, you're like, yeah, I got nothing else.
I got nothing else. Well, I just hope some of these companies create new product, and then I can get those. So
I appreciate you getting snacks for us.
Yes.
If I haven't said it before, I'm saying it now.
you
I
say
appreciate
it every
you.
time. Yes.
Do I say it every time?
You
Well,
say it a lot.
okay.
You say it a lot.
That makes me feel
I
good.
remember it, and I appreciate it. Thank
It's the
you.
thought that counts.
Well, I appreciate you.
But
And
I enjoy going to H Mart, so it's okay.
We know you do. If it says new on it, it's going in the cart. That's canon. And I appreciate all of our listeners out there. If they want to continue listening, they can do so wherever you get podcasts and even on YouTube. If they want to follow along with all of our exploits, they can do so on any social media account at Janchi Show. If they want to reach out to us and send us lovely voice notes, they can do so at 97. Well, I've already forgotten the number. 977-677? No. What is it?
972-677-8867.
Okay. 972-677-8867. You can also send us an email to jonchishow@gmail.com and visit our website, jonchishow.com, to see all the cool, wonderful things that we have there, including aprons.
So
Maybe.
I was thinking about where my apron was hanging up. I don't know where it is. It's somewhere, and I will start using it because I just remembered that I had it. Including those aforementioned podcasting platforms and or YouTube. If you could leave us a rating or review, we would greatly appreciate that as well. It helps people find the show, helps people know why they should be listening to the greatest Korean Adoptee podcast in the world.
I was just going to say in America, but I like that confidence. We're the
Yeah.
greatest Korean American podcast in the world.
2024, the year of the brag. We are out here. If you want to follow along individually, you can do so with me, for me, at Patrick in the world, wherever I want to be found on the internet.
Who, me?
You can
Who, me?
hang out conmigo at KJ Roelke, wherever I want to be found on the internet, which is some places.
I am on Facebook still, and Nathan Nowak, and Nowak on Instagram.
What's going to happen the day you just change your name, your Facebook name, to something that's not Nathan Nowak? That would just be
I don't
great.
know.
Yeah,
I'd
to
be
Big Nate.
thrilled.
And then it's like, you changed your name too many times. It's locked in forever. You're like, frick.
The Big Nate, no curse words, please. Or no bad words, I guess. We don't know what Big Nate's saying. Only Nathan knows.
What if it's Big Nate, but it's Big N and then asterisk, asterisk, asterisk?
No, don't do that.
Yeah,
All right, I'll put my foot down on that one. Don't do that. All right, well, another one in the books. I probably have a kid. I'm probably not going to be on the next few episodes. I might be, but I might not be.
Goodbye
It depends on how good we do pre-loading.
That's
the
true.
show.
Yes.
So-
It depends on the preload, which we should have a few. You should still be hearing my voice, but if not, I appreciate y'all. I appreciate everybody's support.
Speaking of
And-
depends, get ready for those diapers.
Speaking of depends, we just got some more diapers, but I appreciate both of you and all of the work that we've done here on this show over the last 3 years. And I'm excited to keep doing it. But for right now, I got to go to bed.
All right. Janchi, heyo. Heyo. Janchi, good night. Or good morning, depending on when you're listening to the episode.